I was once a modern super soldier king, but I was unexpectedly reborn. I went back to 1965, a land full of treasures, an era untouched by guns or hunting. Silly roe deer and big gray rabbits run wild in the mountains. Crabs on the rocky coast are so fat they're dripping with oil. Yet, despite such abundant resources from the mountains and sea, the villagers are so hungry their stomachs stick to their backs every day. To change the situation of having a golden rice bowl but still begging, I decided to carry a hunting rifle into the forest to make a living. When I woke up again, I found myself back as Wang Lin. On the day of taking my child to the mountains to collect firewood, opening the door, the ground was already covered in snow. I frantically ran toward the northern mountain, quickly disappearing into the endless snowstorm. Because on this day in my previous life, a sudden blizzard made Wang Lin, who lacked any experience in the mountains, lose his way. When the villagers found them, it was already noon the next day. An adult and a child were tightly holding each other, curled up in a snow pit on the North Mountain. Already lifeless, now that I have another chance, I will never let that tragedy happen again. Above the sky, the wind roared fiercely, and snow was falling heavily, blocking Wang Lin's view. Standing in a world full of bitter cold and snow, Wang Lin trembled uncontrollably, afraid of completely losing his way. When I found my wife and daughter, Wang Lin's face had already turned bright red from the cold wind. The breath he exhaled instantly crystallizing into frost. 3-year-old Dudu shivered in his arms. Cold Dudu's here, Dudu whispered, trying to curl up in her mother's arms, hoping to find a bit of warmth. But the merciless wind left him nowhere to hide. Don't be afraid, Mama's here with you. I ran over desperately, hugging my wife and child tightly. My whole body couldn't stop shaking.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry? I kept apologizing endlessly, hearing my wife and child cry. I couldn't stop my tears from falling. This is not a dream. Everything is real. I've already confirmed I truly was reborn. Taking off my coat, I wrapped Dudu up in it and carried her in my arms. Ling Ling, it's cold. Here, let me take you home. Wang Ming turned to look at the bundle of firewood on the ground, which he worked so hard to collect, with the snow covering everything. It's very hard to find any firewood. I quickly slung the wood on my back, wiped away my tears, and said, let's go home. Wang Lin nodded vigorously. Hua Chang, I'm lost. Wang Ling whispered, sobbing. Don't worry, you have me. I replied with firm confidence. On this day in my previous life, I lost my wife and daughter, and was depressed for a long time. Before joining the army, and was even selected as a Special Forces soldier, I became a Special Forces instructor for 23 years. Surviving in the wild, eating raw meat wasn't even a challenge. The snow was hard to walk through, each step making a crunching sound in the snow. Suddenly, I stopped and pulled Wang Lin back a little. What's wrong? Wang Lin stopped, looking around. Hold Dudu for a minute. I carefully handed Dudu over to Wang Lin, gently tossed the firewood off my back and whispered, there are some stones in Dudu's pocket. Take them out and give them to me. Dudu loves to play with little rocks. Wang Lin searched Dudu and really did find 3 pitch-black stones. Maybe we'll actually get to eat some meat. I wiped the stone in my hand, moved my wrist a bit, hoping my secret weapon skills hadn't gone rusty. Not far away, a colorful pheasant was standing on a snow-covered branch, clucking loudly, calling out to its mate lost in the blizzard. The blizzard had even dulled its vigilance. The razor-sharp whistling of the stone flew out in an instant. Sensing danger, the pheasant tried to escape, but it was too late. Watching a few feathers flutter down along with the falling pheasant, Wang Lin cheered. Should we sell it? We could probably get a yuan for it, right? Selling it could buy 2 bags of coal. No, we'll stew it at home so you and Dudu can get some nutrition. I shook my head. No one knows better than I do that this blizzard will last almost 2 full days and nights, making it so cold you can't even open the door in the end. I need to think about how to make money. Now that I'm back, I not only want to make up for the regrets of my past life, but make sure my whole family lives a good life. But it's really too hard to make money in this era. The mountain is blocked off by snow, and recently a wolf pack has been spotted. Even the old hunters in the village don't dare enter the mountains. Even with decades of special forces experience, Hunting in the mountains is still very dangerous. The biggest problem is I don't have a gun right now. Old Who in the mountains could be an option. But now everything's covered in snow. If I want to fish or trap, it's impossible these next few days. I thought of the reef by the seashore. Even though I can't go into the sea, there are crabs among the rocks. And it's November, the perfect time for fat little crabs. And the pheasant's innards will make good crab bait. Back home, after cleaning the bird, I quickly started up the stove and heated some oil. Wang Lin noticed her man seemed different than before. He was even cooking for the first time ever. She held Dudu and sat on the heated brick bed, watching me secretly as I turned the food in the wok. Dudu hid in Wang Lin's arms, swallowing saliva constantly, wiping her mouth from time to time. The rich chicken aroma filled the whole house, and the little girl's stomach was rumbling. Chicken stewed with mushrooms, and 3 small corn cakes stuck to the edge of the wok. There isn't much grain left at home, so I looked over at the firewood and the pitifully little coal, feeling like slapping myself. The last money for firewood in the house was snatched away by Chun Bao to buy wine. I know we must have coal at home, or else we'll freeze to death in this winter if we don't heat the Kong. I remember the brigade allows us to borrow coal, as long as we pay it back with work points next year. Wang Ling lowered her head. She went to borrow 4 times, each time getting cold looks and words. They all said her man was lazy and greedy, and no one would even lend her half a bag. It's okay, I'll find a way. I lowered my head in shame, knowing it was because of me, and also because my last name is Zhang. The brigade is called Chun Tang San Lik, and we with the last name Zhang are outsiders, always getting snubbed inside and outside the open. We had serious conflicts with the Chun family. The meat was almost done, so I picked up a chicken leg with my spatula, blew on it, and handed it to my daughter. Dudu reached out eagerly to grab it, not caring if it was hot. I felt a fresh wave of pain in my heart. Is it tasty? After watching Duadwo finish it, I rubbed her little head. Duadwo nodded again and again, her big dark eyes still staring at the food in the wok. All right, time to eat. I carried the wok to the Kong table, and the 3 of us sat down around it. I noticed my wife was reluctant to eat the meat, chewing one bone for a long time. So I gave her more meat, let her eat a bit more. Wang Lin was the daughter of a working-class family. She should have lived a worry-free life. But because I broke off contact with my family, after Dudu was full, she lay on the Kong and fell sound asleep. A smile hung on her little face. She ate lots of meat. I added some firewood to the stove. Then I went into the yard and chopped down 2 cold-resistant green bamboos. The bamboo at home is just right for making crab traps. Hopefully, we'll get a good haul. Weaving crab traps is really simple for me. Using the firelight, I split the bamboo into thin strips. In my hands, the strips gradually turned into crab traps. Wang Ling couldn't really help. She just lay on the Kong quietly watching me. Maybe she was too tired. She unknowingly fell asleep. I found a piece of net. I sewed 4 tiny holes into it. I took the chicken's head, the back end, organs, and so on, and stuffed them inside one by one. Hung it in the middle of the trap. Seeing my wife and daughter sound asleep, I quietly carried the 4 traps and went out. Night fell. Snow was swirling all around. The sky was pitch black. Only the vast snow emitted a faint white glow. The rocks were sharp and hard to walk on. Icy seawater surged back and forth among the rocks. I walked ever so carefully, searching for just the right spot one by one. After about 10 minutes, all 4 traps were set. Now it's just a waiting game. If we get a catch, then I'll need to make more traps. But if there's not, I'll just have to take a gun and risk going into the mountains. Standing on the rocks, I listened to the rolling sound of the waves, looking around at the snow swirling everywhere. I took a deep breath. Then, a shout filled with joy and excitement rang out from afar. I, Jiang Huacheng, am back. Wang Lin was badly frightened today, and she was pretty exhausted. She was sleeping very soundly. I went out and came back and she didn't notice at all. At 5 a.m., I woke up freezing. Once I started the charcoal, I had to check the class group blind boxes. I carried the bamboo baskets and hurried to the seaside. It was still snowing heavily. All of Chengting Sanli district was almost covered in snow. Only a few chimneys sent up trails of smoke. Part of the rocks were covered in ice and snow. It made things a lot harder for me. I climbed among them very carefully. After about 10 minutes, I found the first trap, beneath the streaming seawater. A crab trap lay quietly at the bottom. As I carefully lifted it, water poured off the basket as it rose. Inside came a rustling sound. The basket shook violently. Sure enough, I was thrilled.
Inside.
Over 20 variously sized dark green rock crabs. Only a dozen little sea fish, but they had been bitten to pieces. These would be the best new bait for the next haul. Resources by the sea are really rich these days. I carefully poured all the crabs into the basket. I was delighted. I went to get the second crab trap right away. The second trap had only a dozen or so rock crabs, one pretty big green crab, and 2 small flower crabs. But there were a few more fish. The third crab trap wasn't placed well. It kept getting smashed against the rocks by the waves and broke apart. The last trap also yielded quite a lot. In fact, there was even a pretty big octopus inside. Satisfied, I carried the basket home. This was truly a big haul. I even picked up a fist-sized sea snail from the water. That was really a rare delicacy. I thought I'd come back again at noon. When I got home, I was already covered with snow, like a snowman. Wang Lin hurried over and brushed the snow off me. Then, when she saw inside the bamboo basket, it seemed there was a fish frozen into an ice sculpture. She froze for a second. The fish, those are from my crab trap harvest. I showed off my skills again. A small pot of bright red crab and stew, and half a pot of very watery big tea porridge. The house was filled with a delicious aroma. The 3 of us ate very happily. After eating, I buried the frozen fish and crabs in the snow. The snow kept falling nonstop, so I couldn't get to the county town. It's just as well. I can save up more to sell all at once. I went to the yard and cut 2 more bamboo stalks. Wang Lin still clumsily tried to help. We made 5 more crab traps, and also repaired the broken ones, counting the 3 in the rocks. We now have 9 crab traps in all. At noon, I ran to set the traps again. When I got back, I had another half basket of seafood. That was from just 3 crab traps. If we used all 9 baskets, I bet I could fill them up. So, in this situation, I really need a helper. In the afternoon, I lay on the kong and heard a faint crunching sound from the yard. My heart skipped a beat. That wasn't the sound of footsteps on snow, but of something chewing. A Volfi quickly signaled Wang Lin to stay quiet. I quietly leaned by the window and looked into the yard. Wang Lin was curious too and peeked out. A big deep yellow red tail stood out. A red fox had already dug a bloody hole and was gnawing on the seafood I'd hidden under the snow. It must have been lured by the smell of seafood. My heart raced. A perfect fox pelt could fetch at least $15. I suppressed my little excitement, grabbed a stick, and crept forward, quietly opened the door. Maybe it heard something, because the red fox paused while gnawing on the frozen fish, as if listening intently, but I wasn't letting it get away. I pounced and hit it hard, smacking its back with the stick. It yelped sharply, then twitched a few times and went still. Just then I heard Wang Lin mumble something about the 5 spirits. When I told Wang Lin the pelt could sell for $15, she didn't say anything else. She just stared wide-eyed at what I was doing. I slammed the fox against the wall one more time to make sure, making sure it was truly dead. Finally, I relaxed. Red foxes are vicious and cunning. I know these animals well. They can cost you your life. Dudu heard the commotion and ran over, her big eyes blinking at the fox meat. She pointed her little finger at the fox and gave a knowing smile, looking at the fat red fox. I quickly handled it, then stewed the whole thing. I also planned to bring a bowl to my folks and swap it for some charcoal. Now I really wanted to visit Mom, Dad, and my little sisters, and also my honest big brother. Wang Ming nodded vigorously. With charcoal, the kang wouldn't cool down so fast. The red fox pelt was beautiful, just like flames. I carefully hung the peeled fox skin up on the wall. Used the innards as more bait. Snow kept falling endlessly. My big brother Zhang Huchen was outside with 2 kids, shoveling snow in the yard. Dabo is so hungry. He's complaining to Dad. When are we eating? I'm starving. Xiaobao isn't taking a break either. I want to eat meat, Zhang Huchen replied impatiently. Big mouth. Whether you eat or not, the blizzard has lasted an entire day and night. Zhang Huchen was getting anxious just watching. He wondered if there was enough coal at Lao's house. Thinking of my worrisome self and my unfortunate sister-in-law, Jiang Huchen sighed. He tossed down the shovel. He went into the house and quietly discussed with his wife about sending me a bag of coal. In no time, a sharp yell came from inside. Fine, Jiang Huchen. Now you know how to talk back, huh? Then why don't you send a few bags to my parents too? Let's not live at all then. My elder brother stammered. Your parents don't need any. After a while, Jiang Huchen grabbed half a bag of coal, ready to head out. Just then, a pretty figure ran out from the east room. Come here, bro. Are you going to Jay's place, right? Jiang Huiling secretly stuffed him a cloth bundle. Mom wants you to take this. Jiang Huchen paused for a second. It was a packet of corn tea.
He makes big tea porridge with it for Mom and Dad.
At that moment, I appeared in front of them. Luckily, Debao spotted me first. He just shouted, "Second uncle." What delicious food did you bring? I finally arrived at the home I'd been away from for countless days and nights, fighting back the excitement in my heart. I handed the pot in my hands to Jiang Huiling, so they could heat it up and eat quickly. I explained again. Some dumb roe deer ran into my house, so I just knocked it out. I didn't dare say it was a fox. In northeast China, older people are quite superstitious about the 5 spirit animals. Mom, there's meat. Dabo shouted excitedly. Big sis-in-law had already heard I was here. She thought I was coming to ask for something again. But when she heard I brought meat, she couldn't help but peek out. At that moment, little sister heard it too. She cheerfully crawled out from under the covers. Mom and Dad came out as well. Seeing the whole family together, my eyes couldn't help but turn red. Everyone was so drawn to the meat in the pot. No one noticed my reaction. Big sis-in-law came over with a cold face and took the pot. Soon the whole house was filled with a delicious smell. A bunch of kids crowded around. The whole family, big and small, happily sat on the heated bed, gnawing on meat. Watching them, I couldn't help but get emotional again. When Mom saw I was leaving, she ran over and pulled me. You should eat some too. I said there was still Wallen at home. She stuffed a bag of corn tea into my hands. I hesitated a bit, but still took it. My little sister is good at everything, just a bit too kind, relying on my memory. In a few days, Chan Qiuyang's affair with the widow will become a huge scandal. This time, I won't let my little sister marry Chan Qiuyang. This marriage will definitely be called off. Even big sis-in-law was surprisingly generous this time. So I carried a bag of soup back home. When I got home, Wang Lin was staring out the window, and Dudu was eyeing the pot of meat longingly. We heated the kong and the meat. The 3 of us sat around, happily eating together. As we discussed, going into town to exchange money in the morning, suddenly there was urgent knocking at the door. Wang Ming's hand trembled slightly. A flash of panic crossed his eyes. While the whole family was happily eating meat, the anxious knocking made Wang Ling panic. I knew exactly why my wife was scared. The knocker was our village's street rascal, Chen Bao. In my past life, he was barely considered a friend. But now, the one I hated most was him. Last life, it was Chen Bao, who stole my money to buy coal, bought booze and got me drunk. Because of that, my wife and child went out to gather firewood and froze to death in the blizzard. After the accident, Chen Bao went around saying my wife and daughter deserved it.
He said if Wang Ling remarried him,
she'd have good food and a good life every day. That's when I realized Chen Bao had always been after my wife. Wang Ling had told me before that Chen Bao had tried to touch her, but I never took it seriously. Just as I opened the door, Chen Bao tried to barge in, eating meat behind my back and not inviting me, huh? Before he could finish, I shoved him right back out. He was stunned. He thought I was still that fool who cared too much about appearances. Smelling the meat from inside, Chen Bao kept trying to push his way in. I lifted my foot and kicked him 3 or 4 meters away, grabbed him up in one move, grabbed his neck, and shoved him into the snow pile. If you talk nonsense again, my wife will tear your foul mouth apart. I fished out a small stack of cash from Chun Biao's pocket, plus a few ration coupons, took 75 cents and a food coupon, and shoved the rest back. This is the money you stole from me yesterday, and what you owed me. Now get lost. Chen Bao scrambled to his feet, gave me a frightened look, and staggered away. He didn't even dare to throw out a single threat. Wang Ling came running out too, worried I might get hurt. I brushed the blood off my leg lightly. It's fine, he came to pay back money. Go back and eat. I shoved the money and coupons into his hands and pulled him inside. In my mind, I'm still figuring out how to handle things once and for all. Since Chun Bao, like me, came back to life, he's going to take revenge for his grudges and repay those who helped him. It was still snowing heavily that night, but I ended up with a huge harvest, a basket brimming full of fish and crabs, and even a few big octopuses. It was getting dark outside the window, but just like I remembered, the blizzard had stopped. I got up and lit the Kong as usual, brought all the fish I'd caught lately, and hurried to the county's morning market. At the time, private selling was not allowed, but as long as you left the market before the Red Guards went on duty, it was fine. Now that I have a young body, walking a few kilometers is nothing. I quickly arrived at the market. I picked a spot and started hawking. Fresh, fatty sea crabs, full of roe and crab butter. If they're not fat, you don't have to pay. Soon enough, a crowd gathered around my seafood stall. Seafood was rare in those days, so ordinary folks found it novel. Some bargained, some scrambled to pick the best ones. Very soon, all my fish and crabs were sold out. I had 4 yuan and 35 cents in hand, a huge sum. Then I hurried to the purchase station. Since I still had a beautiful red fox pelt, the buyer's eyes lit up at the sight of the pelt. This is a fine thing. He checked it over carefully. He happily offered me 13.5 yuan. I was a little surprised, but even though it wasn't as much as I expected, it was pretty close. So we made the deal quickly. Even the rest of my seafood in the basket was personally bought by the procurement staff. When I left the purchasing station, I had 15 yuan more in my pocket. Now I had a total of 27 yuan, 6 jiao, and 4 fen on me. I hurried to the department store and bought a lot of things. Half a gin of hard candy, salt, vinegar, soy sauce, a super net and a saw, a hammer, some foreign twine, and many other things that required ration coupons. But I didn't have any, so I had to go to the black market. I found the black market and bought quite a bit of food and 2 gin of fatty pork. As I passed one stall, I noticed a few books pressed beside an old man's legs. I wanted to take a look, but the old man sized me up warily for a long time before slowly handing them to me. It was Dream of the Red Chamber, and it was the complete 3-volume set. Definitely a good find. Wang Ling, who grew up in the city, loves Dream of the Red Chamber. I bargained skillfully and finally bought it for 2 yuan. When the old man took the money, he gave me a look. Young man, go straight home after shopping. At that moment, I realized I was being watched. I had been too flashy while shopping. I pulled out a thick wad of cash. Anyone would be envious in times like these. At the alley entrance, I saw 2 thugs with knives blocking the way. Then 3 more came up from behind. Except for the leader, the other 2 were holding knives and an axe. Each one stared at me coldly. The leader was wearing an army coat, with his hands in his pockets, a cigarette hanging from his mouth, walking over. Brother, lend us some money, will you? I silently put my things down. Without any warning, I lunged straight at the leader of the thugs, hit him right in the chest with my elbow. He went flying before he could even react, crashing hard into the wall. The thugs were stunned for a second. Then they all rushed at me. But what they didn't realize was they were up against someone strong. A special forces soldier who remembered every skill from his previous life. Their instructor. The fight is over. I came out unscathed. One of them passed out after coming at me with a knife. 2 are lying on the ground, twitching. Another one kneeled down quickly, raised his hands and surrendered. As for their leader, he's still kneeling and vomiting up bile. After a round of looting, to my surprise, these guys were definitely ticket scalpers. Their pockets were stuffed with cash, and more than 20 food, meat, and fabric ration tickets. 2 of the grain tickets were for 50 pounds of coarse grain. The leader was wearing a nice coat. I didn't hesitate to take it for myself. I also snatched a military knife from one of the thugs. It turned out to be a Swiss Army knife, a rare and versatile tool. I turned and cleared my throat. The group scrambled away, rolling and crawling. I thought to myself, robbing really is the fastest way to make money. Looking at the steamed bun shop on the street corner, My stomach was growling. I ate 6 big meat buns in one go, then packed up some to take home. After entering the village, I saw Wang Lin shoveling snow at the door from afar. He kept glancing up at the road leading to town. Beside him was a tall young man, helping out with a shovel. When Wang Lin saw the bags I carried, he rushed over to help. I looked at the tall, goofy guy scratching his head. He was my neighbor Chen Tianyu. Tianyu and I grew up together. When he was 5, his mom ran away after being beaten by his dad. He ended up with a mean stepmother. He didn't have enough to eat or proper clothes to wear, and got beaten often. Tianyu went inside. Chen Tianyu shook his head and kept shoveling snow. I didn't say much either, and took my stuff inside. Wang Lin looked at all the things I brought, absolutely thrilled. I counted the money left in my pocket and handed it all to Wang Lin, then gave a pack of hard candy to Dudu. The little guy climbed onto the Kong with it, examining each piece carefully, looking them over again and again. I pulled out 3 copies of Dream of the Red Chamber, wrapped up in layers of newspaper. Wang Ling quickly put the money away and flipped through the books, looking over the set. This was the red chamber he'd wanted since before marriage. His dad waited in line 4 times and never got them. Wang Lin's eyes grew red, hugging the books tightly. With a choked voice, he asked why I wasted money. I just smiled without saying anything, then took out sweet potato noodles and buns from the sack. Lin, have pork stewed with noodles for dinner. Wang Lin went to the cellar and brought out the cabbage they'd saved for New Year's. First, she sliced the fatty pork thick, rendered a pound and a half of lard and a plateful of cracklings. She tossed the cabbage and cracklings into the pot. The whole house was quickly filled with the fragrance. I went out and dragged Tianyu inside. A plate of corn cakes and a big bowl of pork stew with noodles. Put them in front of Tianyu.
He didn't hold back.
And began eating in big bites, like he hadn't eaten for 3 days. I asked Tianyu if he wanted to eat meat every day. He didn't even think before saying he did. Then, Tianyu, come work with me whenever you're free. I'll cover all 3 meals a day. Tianyu nodded happily.
As night fell,
I took my bamboo basket out to harvest. Sure enough, my basket was stuffed with seafood. I added 4 more crab traps among the rocks. At this rate, I'll need Tianyu's help tomorrow morning. The next day before dawn, Tianyu was already stomping at the door, waiting for me. I looked at the shivering Tianyu and let him in, gave him 2 peach crisps and a mug of hot water. Tianyu took them with both hands and quickly finished them. Then we grabbed our sacks and went to the shore for another round of hauling. With loads of seafood, we went straight into town, with Tianyu helping. It was much easier for me. By the time we got to the morning market, it was already late. I yelled a few times, had Tianyu watch the stall, and started my clever trades. I went to every vendor, trading fish and crabs. Within 10 minutes, most of my seafood was sold or swapped. The Red Guards showed up. Someone shouted in the distance and the market got chaotic, restless all around. Vendors rolled up their stalls and took off running. Tianyu and I turned and fled too. I had money and ration tickets in hand, selling and trading all the way out. It didn't take long to sell off the rest of our fish and crabs. The 2 of us wanted to stop for noodles. Ended up eating 4 bowls each in one sitting, like we had never eaten before. Back home, I started planning to make padded clothes and shoes for the family. Also get food and charcoal for Tianyu's mother and little sister. Get them some supplies. At noon, I made a pot of cabbage, tofu, and noodles. Stir-fried a plate of spicy pork. The house smelled wonderful. After serving the dishes, called Jianyu over to eat. Meanwhile, Tianyu's dad and stepmother were pacing the yard. The smell of spicy pork was overwhelming. Stepmother's son Li was drooling. Encouraged Tianyu's dad, Chun Yud, to report us. Chun Yud's report had an effect. A few cadres decided to first ask Xiying, who married into the Lao Zhang family. She's my eldest sister-in-law. If the Lao Zhang family was poaching, Chan Xiying would surely know. The Chan and Zhang families were basically mortal enemies now. Just last month, the 2 families got into a fight and even used guns. Chan Mingtang called Xiying to come out. Looking at his daughter, patched all over, he couldn't help but curse out loud. After calming down a bit, he directly asked about Chun Yud, reporting the Liu Zhang family to the brigade for poaching. Do you know about it? Chan Xing shook her head. asked if it was about reporting the two families for eating meat. Chun Ming-tang nodded. Chan Xiying said, "Yeah, I know about that." Apparently, Wang Lin's parents sent the meat from the city. Chun Ming-tang thought about it. Wang Lin's parents made up now. Just like him. He had cut off his daughter himself once. He felt awkward, handed Xiying a bag of rice crackers, and walked away. My sister-in-law told my brother to go tell me that the meat at home came from my father-in-law's house. I had just finished packing coarse grain and pork fat for my eldest brother to take home, to share among the elders in the Liao Zhang family. I didn't want to see the same tragedy again as in my last life, where those old folks froze or starved to death. The department store beauty and the chubby lady at the food company. That's the true portrait of this era. Wang Lin's parents worked at the food station. Sending their daughter some meat is just logical. Sis-in-law is reliable. I became even more motivated. Chen Yu's report was brushed aside. I started thinking about faster ways to make money. Eventually, decided to hunt wolves up the mountain. Tianyu was all in, no questions asked. I went to collect more fish at night and carried a sack of charcoal, heading straight to my third grandpa's house. In the pitch-black house, there wasn't a hint of warmth. I called out a few times. Only then did Grandpa Third respond.
He started reminiscing about the days during the Korean War.
How he could lie still in a freezer for hours. A little cold at home is nothing. I walked in with a smile, lit the kerosene lamp, walked over to the stove. Sure enough, there was no charcoal at home, only some neatly chopped firewood. I put my things down, got straight to the point, and asked to borrow the rifle, saying I wanted to go hunt wolves in the mountains. Seeing that Grandpa Third had no objection, I immediately told him about this year's situation with the Zhang family. The old man just stayed silent. Then he walked to a trunk on the bed, opened it up. What I saw surprised me. Inside were army awards and medals, and under an old military uniform, there were several bullets placed conspicuously, along with a Type 38 rifle and a bayonet. This Type 38 rifle was way better than the Type 54 hanging on the wall, by more than a little. With this gun, even a pack of wolves in the mountains wouldn't scare us. I happily took the Type 38 rifle with me, along with about a box of bullets and the bayonet. By this time, Tianyu was already waiting with a shoulder pole and rope. There are wolves in the mountains. It's not safe to go. Wang Lin saw me come back with a gun and started stomping anxiously. He knew it was dangerous in the mountains. Even the forest rangers wouldn't dare go up the mountains in winter. I tried to comfort him as best as I could, and the two of us headed into the mountains. Heavy snow had blanketed the range. The branches of the mountain trees were coated with ice crystals. The weight of the snow bent the tree limbs. Under the moonlight, it all looked like crystal sculptures. A cold wind swept past, kicking up waves of snow. I stood on high ground watching. In the absolute silence, I could faintly hear the distant howls of wolves. On our way, we ran into a few wild rabbits. The rabbits were way too alert. As soon as they heard anything, they'd leap away out of sight. Didn't even give us a chance to act. We kept trekking through the woods for nearly half an hour like this, until we got deep into the forest. Just when I was searching for prey, I vaguely heard heavy breathing in the distance. Excited, I quickly signaled Tianyu to stay still, and quietly moved closer. Clearly, there was a large wild animal ahead. And sure enough, after getting a bit closer, I spotted a pitch-black figure, rooting through the snow for food. I told Tianyu to find a hidden spot and stay put. I needed to get even closer, find the best spot to shoot. As I approached, I saw the wild boar's head, but the wild boar heard us. It lifted its massive head and foot-long tusks, and charged straight at me. I quickly dodged behind a large tree. The wild boar kicked up snow everywhere, just as the boar turned and prepared to charge again. I raised my rifle and fired. Bang, shot it right in the head. At the sound of gunfire, the wild boar staggered, then let out a piercing, gut-wrenching scream, and rushed forward, running a dozen meters, before collapsing face first into the snow. I quickly put another bullet into the back of its head, pulled out the bayonet, ran over and stabbed its neck several times in a row. After seeing that it had finally stopped breathing, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Tianyu ran over, panting, and was thrilled at the size of the wild boar. I handed my Swiss Army knife to Tianyu and told him to stand watch, careful of any wolves nearby, because the scent of blood would attract wolves. Then I quickly started to gut the boar, cutting open its belly, hot innards steaming out one by one, which I pulled out as well. Washed every edible organ with chicken blood, and after I was done, I immediately called over Tianyu. Tianyu brought the axe, and at my signal brought it down hard. In just a few minutes, the over 300-pound adult wild boar was chopped into 2 huge chunks by Tianyu. The wild boar's head and some of its organs, I left them at the spot. Tianyu didn't want to throw away the boar's head. He looked back, hoping to bring it home. I hurriedly shouted that wolves were coming. Only then did he understand my intention. Actually, the wolf pack was already very close. We had just left not long ago. Then behind us came the sounds of wolves tearing and snarling. It was already late at night when Tianyu and I returned. Wang Lin hadn't slept at all. He was pacing nervously inside the house. He finally relaxed when he heard us knocking on the door. When he saw the huge wild boar we brought back, Wang Lin was actually scared. Wild boars in the mountains are really terrifying. Even the mountain guards dare not get close. I spread a sack on the ground, then threw the boar's body on it and quickly started processing. Skinning, cutting up, slicing the fat. The whole process was smooth and effortless. The 2 of us worked for another hour or so. Finally ready to get some sleep, Tianyu said with his usual naivety. I want to go to my mom's place now. Suddenly realized. Hurriedly took off 4 or 5 pounds of boar meat and a few bones. Packed them up for Tianyu. Reminded him to be careful on the road. Don't get caught by the patrol. Especially don't let Tianyu's mom give the meat away. She must eat it herself. Getting caught poaching would be real trouble. Tianyu nodded enthusiastically. Happily ran off carrying the meat. Low prices in the 1960s were a result of planned economy and scarcity. It could sustain basic survival, but quality of life was very low. The sky was dark. After finishing gathering seafood, Taiju and I headed for the county town. This time, we had quite a lot of seafood. I kept half of the boar meat hidden in the snow in the yard. Otherwise, we'd be exhausted carrying it all. The boar's skin was also kept at home, planning to save up more skins to sell them all at the buying station. We've been to the county town morning market several times already. I'm familiar with this place by now. Seeing no one around yet, I greeted a few of the vendors here. Comrades, anyone interested in wild boar meat? Fresh goods, no meat coupons needed. In this era of planned economy, meat that doesn't require coupons is very popular, especially wild boar meat. It sold out quickly, but the seafood didn't sell so well. It took a lot of effort to exchange and sell all of it. I wasn't surprised by this. For people in this era, eating enough is the top priority. Seafood and things like that are mostly for a taste. We had another meal of shredded pork noodles. Bought the necessities for hunting in the mountains, then prepared to return. Right then, Tainyu came up to me. Bro, seems like someone is following us.
Taiju scratched his head.
Looked back at me, feeling a little uneasy. Didn't expect Tainyu to be so observant. I looked at him in surprise. Joked, probably jealous of our profits. Maybe wants to rob us. Ignore him. Actually, I noticed that shady vendor when I was selling meat. Anyone selling black market goods at the morning market naturally has some shady criminals among them. Seeing I made so much money, it's normal they'd get greedy. On our way home, walking through a patch of woods, we stopped. That guy who was following us had already blocked our way. He was holding a knife, staring fiercely at me. I calmly set down my bamboo basket, picked up the brand new hatchet I just bought, stared straight at him without flinching, locking eyes with him, without a word.
He charged at me with his knife.
Went straight for the kill. I judged right away this guy was a repeat offender. Swung my hatchet swiftly. Some of his fingers dropped onto the snow. He grabbed his hand and tried to run away. Then I heard a crisp cracking sound. Taiju was breathing heavily tense. Tainyu was breathing heavily, tense. The thick carrying pole snapped clean in two. That shady vendor collapsed in the snow, dazed. Blood flowed from his forehead. When I went up to check, I found the vendor wasn't breathing anymore. Tainyu was a bit shaken too. I told Tainyu not to worry. Said you just knocked him out. Then searched the shady vendor, But he only had a few bucks. Yet inside his black leather briefcase were several thick bundles of industrial coupons. These kind of coupons only work in big cities. They're useless here. I stopped thinking about who he was or where the stuff came from. Tossed the briefcase away. Taking it might cause real trouble. But I took all the industrial coupons inside. Tainyu was still scared. I comforted him and pulled him away. In places where no one appears these days, a dead body isn't anything unusual. Sure enough, shortly after we left, 2 peddlers with carrying poles arrived. Just a few minutes later, they left. The shady vendor was thrown into the ditch by them, getting covered by wind and snow. Even his hair had been cut, hardly any left. Nothing went to waste. For the peddlers, it was an unexpected windfall. It was nearly noon by the time we got home. Little Duck and Dodo were building snowmen, laughing gleefully from time to time. Wang Lin and Hua Lin were reading Dream of the Red Chamber together. I hurried to chop vegetables and cook. Also boiled the eggs we got today by trading fish and crab. Heated up a few dumplings for the 2 sisters. The whole family sat around the table, happy and united. The cold night in the Changbai Mountains was dead silent. Only the sound of pine resin and snow falling. 2 figures entered the mountains under the night, listening to distant wolf howls. Tonight's target was them, the top predators in the Changbai Mountains. We searched in the snow for dozens of minutes. I finally found a target, a huge brown-gray wolf. It was chewing on a wild rabbit in the snow at that moment. Wolf howls echoed nearby now and then. Clearly, the pack was hunting separately. The brown-gray wolf caught our scent, looked up at me raising the gun, immediately let out a low growl, bared its fangs, taking an attacking stance. I acted quickly. Bang, shot the wolf right in the neck. Its body shuddered, then turned and started to run. I chased it without hesitation, following the blood trail. Soon found the gray wolf hiding under a rock. Tainyu rushed forward without hesitation, whacked it several times. The gray wolf convulsed and collapsed in the snow. Tainyu stood guard while I opened its belly to clean it. Wolf howls continued nearby. Clearly, the pack was closing in. I threw the wolf's organs at the spot and quickly retreated. When we got back to the village, several adult gray wolves were arriving at the back mountain one after another, roaming and howling continuously. Wang Lin watched us skinning, listening to the waves of wolf howls from afar. Nervously kept staring out the window. I completely skinned the gray wolf. Taiju scraped the fat cleanly off. It was deep into the night after we finished, because we had to get up early next morning. Tainyu didn't go home. Wrapped in his coat and slept on the kong next door. Wang Lin and I lay huddled together on the kong. Quickly fell asleep as well. Early the next morning, I was still gathering seafood by the shore for the early market. But this time was different. I only picked out about 20 or 30 large-sized seafood. The rest was buried in the snow pile at home. These ones aren't worth much. It's better for my family to enjoy a big seafood feast ourselves. When we arrived at the morning market carrying heavy bamboo baskets, the spot where we usually set up our stall already had over a dozen people waiting in line. All of them were there to buy meat, because no ration coupons were needed, and the prices were reasonable. Today's wild boar meat sold especially quickly. Even wolf meat, priced at 1 yuan per pound, was snatched up in no time. We found the county's black market. I took Taiju around with me, getting ready to buy some fabric coupons. I went up to a short young man. I immediately asked, "Where's Dongjae?" The young man was startled when he saw it was me. He turned to run. I grabbed him and said, "Dongjae's at home." The young man answered timidly. He was the one who knelt down when he tried to rob me. I told him I was here to buy fabric coupons. The young man stared at me in shock for half a day, then finally managed to say, "Bye." He went to get Dongjae. The young man turned and ran off. In less than 10 minutes, Dongjae and Luo Cheng, the young man, came back. Dongjae was clutching his chest and looked at his brother with a pained expression. "You want fabric coupons?" I stood up, holding the big rooster I'd just bought. Taiju, who was squatting with me, stood up as well. This made Chen Xiaodong shiver a little. But he quickly tried to act calm. He signaled for me to follow him to the corner by the wall. Chen Xiaodong behaved like a thief, looking around before, finally taking out a small stack of fabric coupons from his pocket. I took them and checked the quantity. It should be enough. Qin Xiaodong quoted a price far lower than the black market rate. I didn't say anything. I counted out 26 yuan and handed it to him. Qin Xiaodong hadn't expected it to go so smoothly. I then took out an industrial coupon and handed it to him. Do you accept this? Qin Xiaodong's eyes lit up. Yes, yes, yes. He flipped through it again and again. I knew that industrial coupons were valuable in big cities, but here in our little mountain town, it's pretty useless. Still, I didn't show it. Qin Xiaodong cautiously asked how many I had. I said I had 50. This made Qin Xiaodong so happy he couldn't stop grinning. He eagerly promised to help me find a way to get rid of them. As we were about to leave, I suddenly remembered. So I asked Qin Xiaodong if he wanted to buy a flatbed cart. It happened that Qin Xiaodong knew someone, so he led us through several twists and turns in the alleyways, until we came to the door of an old house. He called out twice for old Ding. After a long while, a scruffy middle-aged man finally came out. Old Ding sized us up for quite a while before letting us in. He led us to the door of the woodshed on the east side. After moving several bundles of firewood, we finally saw the flatbed cart and a pile of chairs, wooden barrels and other stuff. Old Ding pointed at the flatbed cart and asked for 100. Qin Xiaodong rolled his eyes. We're all brothers here. Give us a deal. Make it cheaper. Actually, I knew. If we went through the commune, with an approval letter, it would still cost 100 yuan, tens of yuan, so I didn't bother haggling. We'll get the cart at the price you said. But I want some of the wooden buckets, stools, and chairs too. Give me a good deal on all of them. Old Ding saw I was straightforward, so he sold the rest at half price or just gave them away. When we were about to leave, he also gifted me several sets of cherrywood spinning top strings. Qin Xiaodong was also happy to earn himself a nice meal. Everyone was satisfied. I found Qin Xiaodong to be a decent guy. He didn't charge old Ding any commission. With the cart, we don't worry about shopping anymore. At the department store entrance, Tiny Yu watched the cart while I went on a shopping spree inside. Everyone got something. My wife, kids, sister, parents, and sister-in-law. When I came out, I handed Tiny Yu another 20 yuan, letting Tiny Yu go in for his turn to shop. He spent over half an hour dragging his feet inside before coming out. What he bought was all stuff for the two sisters. On the way back, another heavy snowfall began. We hurried back, chatting and laughing. Right now in the village, everyone from the whole brigade was gathered at Lao Wang's house for the commotion. Shouting and fighting filled the air. Even the commune members were laughing and watching. No one could drive them away. Chang Qiuyang and the Wang family's widow got involved in an affair, and they were dragged down from the Kong by the Wang family matriarch. They weren't even dressed at the time. The Wang family matriarch led a crowd, blocking Chang Qiuyang so he couldn't leave. Crying and wailing, she sat on the ground. Even the brigade leader Chen Gongling tried to mediate, but it didn't help. Wang's elderly mother cried her heart out. She lamented her fourth daughter's tragic fate. Their fourth child was the mountain watcher. He was eaten by wolves 2 years ago. It hasn't even been 2 years. And now her daughter-in-law can't stand the loneliness and got involved with another man. The Wang family all shouted they wanted to beat Cheng Qiuyang to death. But all along, the Wang and Chen families have gotten along well. No real harm ever came from their disputes. If this had happened between the Zhang and Chen families, it might have escalated to knives and guns already. Cheng Qiuyang was shielded by his parents and several brothers. He squatted on the ground with his head down. He couldn't figure out how he got caught. Chen Gongling didn't want things to get out of hand. If it got to the commune, it'd be trouble. He knew the Wang family wanted money, so the elders from both families discussed it. In the end, the Chen family paid the Wang matriarch 50 yuan. And that settled the matter? In this remote mountain area, 50 yuan is a huge sum. Though the Wang family let it go, the Zhang family wasn't happy. I rushed home in a hurry. I heard the two families were already in discussion. I immediately ran over. The old house hall was already packed with people. Both Chen and Zhang families were present. The village brigade leaders were passionately arguing. You folks from the Zhang family spent the dowry. And now just say you don't want the marriage. Who settles things like this?
It's still the Jiang family backing out.
To the Chen family, that's a slap in the face. The Chen family's old great-uncle sat sullenly in his chair. But Chen Qiuyang was caught in bed with the widow. Naturally, the Zhang family wouldn't agree. The marriage between Zhang Huiling and Chen Qiuyang had to be called off. We from the Chen family aren't fit for your standards. This marriage must be cancelled. The Zhang family's fifth uncle said angrily. The Chen family, though, refused. The dowry's been paid. You've spent the money. The marriage was set for after New Year's. Now you say it won't happen. That doesn't work, Chen Gongling spoke up. If it doesn't work, then let your youngest daughter marry over. Anyway, your youngest daughter is also an unwanted widow now. She won't even get out of bed in winter. Even Jiang Hu came down.
Hearing Chung Gongling's words,
He instantly exploded with anger. What do you mean by that? Chen Gongling lost his temper, slamming the table. What do you mean? Don't you understand? Say that one more time. The room was in chaos with shouting. Chen Qiuyang arrived, waiting outside for a chance to apologize. After all, Zhang Huiling is truly beautiful. If this marriage falls through, given his reputation, it'll be hard to find a wife in the future. When I arrived, I spotted the slick-looking Chen Qiuyang. He saw me and squeezed out a smile, eager to get closer. He kept calling me brother-in-law and gestured to the mesh bag with 10 apples in it. He came to apologize. Apples were very rare these days. Thinking of my past life when Huiling married over, she got beaten every day by this bastard. He even beat her so hard while pregnant that both lives were lost. I charged over and kicked Chen Qiuyang hard in the chest. He was sent flying by my kick. Before he could react, I was already raining kicks on him. Angry, Chen Qiuyang scrambled up and slapped me hard. What he didn't expect was, I didn't dodge or avoid him. A bright red mark appeared instantly on my face. Then I started throwing wild punches at Chen Qiuyang. Angry from the beating, Chen Qiuyang prepared to fight back. Just as he was about to strike, he saw me retreat a few steps, then roll in the snow. He hit me, come see. Chen Qiuyang hit me. I got up and immediately yelled, There's a fight! Chen Qiuyang is hitting people. Villagers who were watching the commotion in the yard heard the ruckus, came out and shouted too. Some stepped in to break up the fight. Some ran inside to get people. Soon, both the Zhang and Chen families rushed out. Chen Qiuyang got angrier from my beating. He chased after me as hard as he could. But after being held back by a crowd,
he kept trying to charge forward with angry roars.
Seeing how battered I was, my father, already furious, grabbed a shovel and charged at Chen Qiuyang. The others rushed up to stop him. Is everyone in the Chen family a bunch of animals? My mom teared up when she saw her son beaten. Once the mood got heated, I started shouting, Mom. That bastard said he'll beat Huiling to death once she marries over. Chen Qiuyang finally realized what was happening. He angrily yelled that I started it. An elderly Chen family member couldn't take it anymore and went up and slapped Chen Qiuyang hard. Cursing, he said, How did our Chen family produce such a worthless person as you? Everyone in the village knows what kind of man Chen Qiuyang is. They all know I'm easy to bully. He's only tough at home, but outside he's a complete coward. Seeing my red face and injuries, even his own family couldn't stand it. He's getting worse and worse, treating us like monkeys. Some of the commune members from the Chen family started cursing him too. Sleeping with the widow in the morning disgraced them. And then at midday, he comes to apologize, but ends up beating the girl's brother. Jiang Huacheng, how dare you trick me? Chen Qiuyang was furious, roaring and cursing. Even his own parents couldn't hold him back. Jiang Huacheng, eyes blazing, rushed out. Brandishing a hatchet, he lunged at Chen Qiuyang, only to be tightly held back by his sister-in-law. Big Ball and Little Ball ran out howling, clinging to their father's leg and crying non-stop. When Chen Qiuyang saw my older brother, he regained some reason and quickly ran into the crowd. Chen Gongwen shouted for my brother to stand down. The scene was chaotic. Bang! A gunshot rang out. Third Grandpa Zhang Meng arrived wearing a robe, carrying an old hunting rifle, striding through the crowd like a freshly awakened lion. That shot stunned everyone.
Even Chung Gonglin was scared.
He angrily shouted to drop the gun. But when the old hunting rifle aimed at him, he instinctively backed away. After all, getting shot for real, your life would be over. He knows exactly what kind of hotheads the Zhang family soldiers are. They'd love nothing more than to take a few down with them before dying. Are you bullying us because you think the Zhang family has no one? Third grandpa raised his gun and was about to shoot while talking. Seeing this scene, I was scared stiff too. Rushed up to stop him in a hurry. If I didn't stop him, who knows what would have happened. Third grandpa really would fire. After all, he has a record. The Shan family onlookers didn't dare watch anymore. They scattered. Everyone knows Jiang family's third man is hot-tempered. Years ago, there were casualties everywhere. All because of him. Since things blew up like this, let's just call off the wedding. Elder uncle from the Chun family saw this unfold. His face turned ugly. Clearly, he remembered something unpleasant. Chun Gongling saw an excuse to step down. He was relieved too. He was truly afraid someone might use a gun. Useless thing. Third grandpa saw your face was red from being hit. He glared in anger. I deliberately didn't avoid too much. Let him hit me a bit. That way, it looks like he's the one bullying me. Quickly explained in a low voice. When he heard it was intentional, third grandpa finally let it go. He grumbled for a while, then brought the gun inside. Wailing ran out. She cried out loud. Little Ye sobbed along with her, not forgetting to shake her tiny fist at Chung Qiu-yang not far away. Raising her little fists, kept saying, "I'll hit you," over and over. Since the engagement is off, the betrothal money needs to be returned to us. Chan Yinshen nearly fainted when his son's wedding was cancelled. He almost died of rage. 30 yuan, not a penny less. If you don't give us the money, we won't leave. Isn't your Zhang family supposed to be so capable? Give the money back right now. Come see, Zhang family called off the engagement, but still won't return the betrothal money. Sat in the snow, ready to make a scene. They know. The Zhang Hu family could never cough up 30 yuan. The Zhang family was furious. This is clearly bullying us for being poor. So they all started pitching in money. Big sister-in-law gritted her teeth and went inside to grab some money too. Taking advantage of the moment, I walked over with wailing, pulled out a roll of cash from my pocket, counted out 30 bills one by one, tossed them right onto Chen Yinshen's face. Chen Yinshen was stunned looking at all the money on the ground. When did the Jiang family become so wealthy? The Jiang family works all year for the production team, and still ends up owing the brigade a lot of money. How can they come up with so much cash and just settle it with us? I confidently called the family to head home. Once the betrothal money was settled, the Zhang family started to disperse. Some headed inside. Just as I got to the yard, I saw a go. Nobody knew when. He swiped Chung Qiu-yang's apples. A go still had that middle-parted hair, just like I remembered. His hair was so long you could barely see the upper part of his face. Occasionally, through the gaps, you could spot his dark eyes. A go came just to see Wailing call off the engagement. I finally could breathe easy too. Wailing's fate had finally changed. Turns out everything can be changed. Third grandpa's old shotgun was snatched away by the elderly fifth uncle. He was giving him a harsh scolding inside. Third grandpa, stubborn as always, wasn't convinced. At this age, what's there to fear? Killed so many enemies before. Why be scared of these bullies? And weak-willed fake enemies. When fifth uncle glared, third grandpa finally moved farther away. I hurried inside to knead dough, planning to make noodles for a few elders. Had just started working when third grandpa came over to me. The old man suddenly asked, "What did you hit with those bowls?" I was startled. At night, going into the mountains was something even groups of mountain guards wouldn't dare do. How did third grandpa know I headed into the mountain at night? He smiled proudly, said he'd heard wolves howl the past 2 nights. Third grandpa used to go hunting in the mountains a lot too. He understands their howls better than anyone. I looked around and quietly told him I hunted a wolf. Took it to town and sold it this morning. Kid, you really dared to hunt a wolf? The old man was shocked. He never imagined. I didn't just hunt a wolf, but also shot a wild boar. Both already sold in town. Even back then, he wouldn't dare mess with a wolf pack. Once targeted by a pack, the way wolves work together is frightening. No wonder a bunch of wolf pups howled for half the night yesterday. Turns out they'd suffered losses. Good job, but you shouldn't go into the mountain these next few days. Wolf packs are vengeful. They won't let this go. Third grandpa knows just how dangerous wolf packs are. He knew I acted tough, but deep down I was thinking about it too. If the wolves won't let it go, that's even better. Small packs like these are my mobile TM. We chatted quite a while. Saw fifth uncle seemed calmed down. Only then did third grandpa dare go get his old buddy back. I brought over a pot of hand-pulled shredded pork noodles. In this era, the old Zhang family has always lived a hard life like this. The elders always pick out the meat, planning to save it for the kids. My parents keep insisting the other takes it. The whole family, young and old, is happily eating, sweating buckets. My wife Wang Ling is in the yard, pushing doo-doo around on a flat cart. The little girl is giggling with joy. Everything on the cart has already been moved inside. Actually, she isn't really in the mood to play. She keeps glancing out toward the door from time to time, waiting for me to come home, waiting for news about Wei Ling's engagement being called off. When I returned, I brought Wei Ling and Xia Yaya back with me as well. Wei Ling immediately told my sister-in-law the good news that she didn't have to get married. Wang Ling was so happy that she clapped her hands. At this time, Xia Yaya, with her sharp eyes, spotted the flat cart. Her eyes went wide in surprise. Wei Ling was also stunned when she saw the flat cart. It was my parents' dream to own a flat cart or a sleigh. But both flat carts and sleighs are way too expensive. Even if they're allocated by the commune, there's still dozens of yuan. They stared in disbelief. Yet, in just a few days, we had a flat cart. I told Wei Ling to take the stuff home first, then sorted out everything we brought for the family, including those pieces of fabric and cotton, packed a whole cart full. I took my wife and daughter and pulled the cart back to our hometown. All afternoon, laughter filled the old Zhang household. Bowl after bowl of delicious pork noodles filled the air with fragrance, until it was almost dark. The whole family finally started to leave one by one. Grinning, I pulled the cart with my wife and daughter back home. We turned a corner on the road. Wang Ling looked confused. I said, "Call Ergu home for dumplings." Soon we arrived at Ergu's house. The house was pitch dark. I knocked for quite a while. Ergu finally dragged himself out reluctantly. He looked at me, puzzled. "Come have dinner at my place. And I want to talk to you about something." I invited him warmly. Ergu turned back inside. Soon came out carrying 5 or 6 apples. Casually placed them on the cart. Wang Lin was a bit stunned. Apples are a rare treat in winter, not something an ordinary family can have. Asked for why I came to get Ergu.
He guessed it must be related to whaling.
Ergu was silent the whole way. Didn't ask any questions either. When we got back, I tossed a few stones at Tianyu's door. Soon Tianyu quietly slipped out and opened the door. Confirmed it was me. Told him to grin and close the door. And I went inside to start cooking the dumplings. These were the ones Wang Lin had prepared at noon, so we could serve them tonight. Ergu kept his mouth shut. Tianyu also just sat there in silence waiting. Watching the boiling dumplings, things felt awkward. I broke the heavy atmosphere. About Ergu and Wei Ling. Thanks, Ergu looked up in surprise. Wang Ling turned to look over, curious. Tianyu was confused. All three looked at me. I explained about Ergu tipping us off. Ergu didn't argue, just grunted in reply. I set the dumplings on the table, invited Ergu to join us, asked if he wanted to go hunting with us to make money. Ergu was quiet at first. I pulled out the neatly tanned wolf hide and a piece of wild boar leather. Even the .38 rifle I took out, let the facts speak for themselves. Tianyu jumped in, urging him along. My brother's awesome. He can hit a man at 100 meters with one shot. And he can take down wild boar in one shot too. Ergu was stunned. I sat down next to Ergu, backed up what Tianyu said. Ergu was silent for a while before replying, "I'll go into the mountains. But if it gets too dangerous, I'll quit anytime." He didn't want to die up there. But right now he really needs the money. I laughed and agreed. Hurry, let's eat the dumplings. We talked over how to split the hunting profits. Ergu is pretty skilled, but his foster father never let him go into the mountains. The mountains are too dangerous. Every year, mountain guards get taken away by wolves. But now he really needs money. He can't worry about those things anymore. I actually know why Ergu needs money so badly now. Because Wei Ling's engagement was cancelled. He's even more driven. Plus, I really need people right now. We all wolfed down our food. At this moment, the wolves started howling again outside. Ergu asked if we were going into the mountains tonight. I answered yes. Ergu quickly ate a few dumplings. Said he was going home to get his gear. In less than half an hour, the three of us were all set and headed straight for the snowfields of Changbai Mountain. The soundtrack was a chorus of wolf howls. During the pork shortage of the 70s, we had hundreds of pounds of meat to sell every day. No meat coupons needed to buy it either. And we mixed up the variety of meats. All because we were the mountain guards roaming the snowy forest. No matter if it was blizzards or Wolf pack attacks, we always kept the village safe, and even let our families live in abundance without want. The three of us entered the forest quickly. By then I'd seen that Ergu wasn't a rookie. Ergu was carrying a big iron bow, watching the surroundings like a cheetah. But in the distance, intermittent wolf howls sounded. Obviously the wolves were signaling. I thought about what we might face. The snarling of wolves nearby. They might be closing in for a hunt. It's still a fair distance off, Ergu guessed. We hurried toward the direction of the wolf pack. It wouldn't take long before the wolves vanished into the snowy wilderness. On the way, we came across a wild rabbit. I knocked it out with a single stone, left it twitching on the ground. This made Ergu stare in disbelief.
Taiju.
Casually tossed the rabbit straight into the bamboo basket. The wolf howls got closer and closer. They were definitely on the hunt. Such a big gathering. I figured it was probably a wild boar or a red deer. Meanwhile, loaded the bullets. We walked about 20 minutes. A wolf howl nearby made us extra alert. Looks like we're getting close. We dropped the basket and got ready. As we approached, we heard growling and tearing sounds. Faintly, we could even smell blood in the air. Gradually, the bodies of two massive deer appeared before us. A pack of wolves was ripping at the carcasses and eating. I quickly counted about 11 wolves, including 3 wolf pups. I immediately spotted the alpha wolf, licking its paw, was the biggest. Its eyes fierce and wild. I patted Ergu, telling him I'd shoot the alpha, and for him to aim at the others. The wolf pack was fully focused on the kill. The smell of blood dulled their sense of smell. As a top-level hunting force, they were not very wary. Bang, a crisp gunshot rang out. Almost instantly, the alpha wolf crashed hard to the ground. My shot hit it right between the eyes. The pack instantly went wild, the air filled with the sound of arrows. Ergu shot a gray wolf in the belly with 1 arrow. The gray wolves howled and rolled on the ground in agony. In almost an instant, I loaded my gun. I unleashed all my firepower. Another gray wolf preparing to attack was dropped with another shot. The other gray wolves scattered and fled. Ergu drew his bow, wanting to shoot another one. I waved my hand in time to stop him. We've hunted too many. We can't take them all back anyway. If we leave them, maybe they'll still linger around here. Ergu looked a bit stunned. At most, we just get a pelt or 2. After all, there are still deer on the ground. We cleaned up the battlefield. It was a bountiful haul. 2 deer weighing several hundred pounds each, and 3 adult gray wolves. We divided up the work. I gutted and cleaned the innards. Tianyu used an axe to deal with the antlers, hooves, and heads. It took a good while to process everything. The huge head wolf was stuffed into Tianyu's bamboo basket.
He hoisted up half of a buck.
Ergu carried the one he shot himself, and grabbed 2 deer legs. I also stuffed a gray wolf into my bamboo basket, and carried half a buck. We hurried to leave. Tianyu looked heartbroken at the deer we had to leave behind, muttering, "What a pity." We walked and stopped along the way. Every so often, we had to switch loads. Ergu and I carried half a buck together. Along the way, Tianyu was full of energy. Jackpot, man. Yeah, this is a real jackpot. I was counting up tonight's haul in my head. Altogether, the 3 gray wolves could yield 300 pounds of meat. The deer meat was almost 300 pounds too. Just selling the meat could bring in over 500 yuan. And that's not counting the wolf and deer pelts. This isn't just hunting. It's basically a robbery. When I thought about that, I couldn't help but grin uncontrollably. By the time we got home, it was the middle of the night. Wang Lin heard the commotion and quickly came out to open the door. With red eyes, she looked at me in worry. I hurried to comfort her. Dealing with everything after was such a headache. There was just so much. Fortunately, Ergu and Tianyu were there. The 3 of us worked for another hour or so. Finally, we could get some sleep. Ergu headed home. Tianyu slept next door. The rooster we bought a couple of days ago crowed 2 or 3 times. Before Wang Lin reluctantly woke me up, I got Tianyu and headed to the shore to check the crab traps. We ended up hiding the traps under a rock. The way I saw it, hunting still brings in money the fastest. So for now, the seafood business would be put on hold. Making money is the priority. when we got to the morning market. Just like yesterday, there was a crowd. Today, no one even bothered to line up. Everyone just pushed to the front. Some of the other vendors around looked on with envy and jealousy. About 20 minutes later, someone suddenly shouted, "The city inspectors are here!" The whole market went into chaos. I pulled my cart and ran without hesitation. Tianyu, stunned at first, finally caught up quickly. Clearly, the inspectors were targeting us. They didn't even look at anyone else. "Help! Someone's been killed!" While a few of the inspectors were chasing us, someone yelled from inside a room. A few shrill, duck-like screams suddenly rang out. A few inspectors exchanged glances and had no choice but to run back. But by the time they got back, they realized there was no murder and didn't even know who had shouted. When they tried to chase after Tianyu and me again, we were already long gone. A woman wearing an apron hurried over, pointing the inspectors down the street. But by then, Qin Xiaodong's buddies had already led us into a side alley. Luo Cheng looked around cautiously and told us to wait. Soon, Qin Xiaodong came running over, out of breath. He glanced at the wolf meat on our cart and exclaimed, "No wonder you made a killing. That's a ton of wolf and deer meat." I sighed. If Qin Xiaodong hadn't been caught by the inspectors this time, we would have really lost big. Qin Xiaodong looked a bit smug about his own buddies. "Our own guys. This whole area is run by our people. I've talked to Anne Fatty too. She won't report us anymore. We can go back now." Looking at Qin Xiaodong's smug face, I couldn't help but marvel at how unpredictable life is. Sausage and sausage. Qin Xiaodong took out a wad of money and handed it to me. "This is the industrial coupon money." I didn't stand on ceremony and pulled out a big bill for Qin Xiaodong. "Go buy some breakfast for the guys." Qin Xiaodong felt all kinds of emotions. Thinking to himself, he robbed me but gave some back. Now I still have to thank him. He took it with a big grin and thanked me. I also handed him about 5 or 6 pounds of wolf meat. Qin Xiaodong happily accepted it, saying, "Don't worry, bro. Even if they catch you, we can get you out." Qin Xiaodong's connections really surprised me. Back at the stall, I caught a glimpse unintentionally. A clear red handprint was visible on Auntie Fat's face. Luo Cheng stood beside her helping to attract customers. The meat was selling like hotcakes. It was all gone in less than an hour. While tidying up, I told Qin Xiaodong I wanted to buy a clock. Because I know Wang Lin hasn't slept for several nights, just waiting to wake me up. So I made up my mind to buy a clock or a watch. Luo Cheng was thrilled. He said he could sell me one for cheap. I was pleasantly surprised. What a coincidence. On the way to get the clock, Qin Xiaodong explained the origin of this clock. He went into detail. Turns out they double-crossed some guys. Snatched it from a group of train robbers, including an army overcoat, a Swiss army knife, a shaving razor, and some other rare goods. If they hadn't brought guns that day, they'd probably have been in trouble. At Qin Xiaodong's house, he found a leather jacket, hair clippers, and another razor. Looking over these good items, we decided to take them all. Made in Shanghai. For the clippers and razors, I spent 170 yuan total. Iron Ox and I returned with full bags. At this moment, Luo Cheng whispered to Qin Xiaodong again. "What if those southerners come looking for us? Shouldn't you tell this big brother?" Qin Xiaodong snapped back. "You don't know crap." Iron Ox and I made another trip to the department store. Bought a pair of thick cotton shoes for Ergu, and a pair of black cotton pants. Also got 3 pairs of cotton gloves and 3 Darl brand cotton hats. These are supplies for going into the mountains, back home with our handy tools, so we could tidy up everyone's hair, old and young men and women in the household. I basically became a pro barber. While the Zhang family was all happy and lively, the Chun family was getting ready to explode. All because Chung Qiuyang slept with the mountain watchman's wife. Both watchmen quit on the spot and demanded replacements. They had a good reason. They didn't want their wives sleeping with someone else after they died. The job belonged to the Chun family anyway. Chun Gonglin had to silently suffer. He couldn't complain. Once you're a mountain watchman, you can't get the commune's rations anymore. Though you can hunt in the mountains as a watchman, but it's very dangerous. There's casualties every year. This year, a wolf dragged someone off again. The other 2 managed to escape. And it's the end of the year. They can't even get their share of pork, so they kept demanding to be replaced. Not to mention, wolves have been howling all around the village for days. Team leader Chun Gongling looked over at quality supervisor Chun Mingtang, told Chun Mingtang to start with the Zhang family's daughter. In the end, they decided to choose 3 new watchmen by year end, 1 each from the Zhang, Chun, and Wang families. When Huiling came to tell us the news, we were still home chomping on meat. I looked at Iron Ox, then at Ergu. Talk about speaking of the devil. I quickly made arrangements. I'm from the Zhang family. Volunteered to go. Ergu went to the Wang family. Wang Kui volunteered too. Told them not to draw lots. As for Iron Ox, he'd wait for their decision. If no one else wanted to go, then he'd step up. I felt relieved. Now we could hunt openly from now on. These days we'd already been out hunting small game nearby, setting bait with blood and guts, trying to lure the wolves out for real. Ever since getting this job, Chun Mingtang has been sighing in worry at home. My sister-in-law Xiying brought him good news. Back at the Zhang family, I saw Daba and Xiaobao again, both in new cotton jackets and shoes. The Shan couple's resentment toward the Zhang family vanished instantly. Ergu from the Wang family also signed up. Xiying told Chun Mingtang the news. That left just the Chun family. Chun Mingtang went to the main team. Chun Gongling was shocked to hear it. Didn't expect the Chun family to be the last one left. He gathered all the Chun family to draw lots. Even told them to bring that little punk Chung Qiuying. Pretty soon, the whole Chun family gathered at team headquarters. Officials drew first. Even the officials' kids had to draw. After a noisy while, they started pulling lots. Nervous Chung Qiuyang's legs were shaking. In the end, Chen Bao got picked. Chen Diao's scalp tingled. He turned to see me staring at him with a grim expression. Last time, Chen Bao got beaten up by me and still had PTSD. At least it wasn't Chen Qiuyang. Chen Yinshen let out a sigh of relief. As the warehouse keeper, he led the 3 of us to the armory. First thing I saw in the armory was an American Springfield rifle, and also grabbed a 2-meter-long red-tasseled spear. Ergu took a Type 54 pistol. Chen Bao did too. When we finished signing for the weapons, they explained some rules for watchmen, like after the first round of ammo. Next time you have to pay or barter for more, and explain the upcoming work assignments. Basically, work assignments just meant patrolling the mountains and driving the wolves off. They made Ergu the team leader. Then everyone went home. As soon as I got home, I started cleaning my Springfield. Iron Ox came over to complain. I didn't let him volunteer. All I could do was explain. It's because of your oddball dad and that wicked stepmom. As for Chen Bao, I was just about to teach him a lesson. Still hadn't let go of my grudge from last lifetime. Plus he's always been after Wang Lin. Iron Ox understood. He scratched his head awkwardly. Ergu was also quite protective of our sister-in-law. Now we're fully equipped, strong and ready. As long as we don't run into a big pack of wolves, there's nothing to worry about. Wachan Wanglin called out sweetly to me and leaned into my arms. Said she wanted to take Dodo to the county with me tomorrow. I knew Wen Lin wanted to go visit her parents. She hadn't been back since she broke things off with them to marry me. Hasn't been home since then. Now that life's better, she should go visit and make peace with them. I agreed. Let's bring Wailing too. Speaking of Wailing, Ergu, who was wiping his gun, immediately perked up his ears. Wang Lin happily ran out, off to find Wailing. After a while of silence, Ergu finally spoke up, awkwardly suggesting we go out hunting again at night. He wanted to tag along for the experience. I gave Ergu a side eye, didn't call out his little scheme. Half an hour later, Wailing came running in, all excited, carrying a package. 3 sets of cotton clothes and 2 pairs of cotton shoes. All finished. Iron Ox immediately stood up. They're for his little sister and 2 brothers. It took a lot of work. The whole family had to rush to get them done. Iron Ox opened them up and looked. All made from flower-printed cotton. They look beautiful, just like Daba and Xiaobao's. Iron Ox smiled so wide you could see his teeth. I patted Iron Ox on the shoulder.
Take them over.
Iron Ox nodded hard. Right now, both the Iron Ox family and the Zhang Huachang family were filled with laughter. Ergu insisted on staying over. Sighed it would be easier to go into the mountains at night. They don't even go home anymore. How could he ever hide his little schemes from me? Huailing has also been coming early and leaving late these days. It's almost like living here isn't any different. She even claims she's helping out by watching the kids. In the afternoon, Chun Bao took his gear to find a go, but nobody was there. So he came to my house. He called a go out, sighed he wanted to team up. A go gets annoyed just seeing him, and directly tells him that we're going up the mountain tonight to drive away wolves. If Chun Bao isn't brave enough to go, he can wander around by himself. Also, whoever gets the prey, it's theirs. Chun Bao nods repeatedly, thinking to himself, he definitely doesn't want to go up the mountain and feed the wolves. This is the dead of winter. You can't even spot a single bird feather. Let's wait for prey tomorrow. Maybe I'll hear news about us feeding the wolves. By then, Wang Lin and his widowed mother would be easy targets. Just became the mountain guardian. And Shan Biao's already thinking about my wife. Meanwhile, a go is discussing with me how to take out Chun Bao. Plus, Chun Bao is basically an informant for those brigade officials. Whenever we get some game, those guys from the brigade will probably be eyeing it. And Tainyu's dad is even more notorious for tattling. Not letting Tainyu take his shift is also because of these reasons. The mountain wind is bone-chilling. We've already been trekking through this snowy forest for almost an hour. Leading in the front, I quietly gesture and quickly chamber around in my rifle. A go gets tense too and looks in the direction I pointed. Down the slope in the snow, not far away, are several dark shapes. Wild boars, we got lucky. A go is very experienced. I assign everyone their targets and remind a go to aim for the head. Because with adult wild boars, it's almost impossible to kill them if you don't shoot the head. If they charge, it's nearly fatal. Just as we started the encirclement, the old boar suddenly became wary, pacing back and forth. It let out heavy warning grunts. The wild boars that were feeding all gathered around. I realized we'd been exposed, so I didn't hesitate anymore, and just fired.
Bang.
A huge adult boar's eyes blew out, stumbled a bit, and then crashed heavily into the snow. The boar herd was in chaos. The boar ago was aiming at bolted down the snow slope instantly.
He quickly switched targets.
But all the boars were already too far away. No point in shooting anymore. I signal a go. Damn, why did they react so fast? Go looks a bit embarrassed. I quickly reassure him, saying the wind shifted. The old boar smelled us. Tainyu brings over the axe and quickly starts working on the boar. First cuts off its head, then splits the massive wild boar into 3 parts. He cleans the edible organs with blood. 3 people each pack their portions into baskets, leaving some organs and the pig's head. If we can draw out the wolf pack, we won't need to go deep into the mountains and hunt by the road. Quickly send the boar meat back, then hurry back again. By now, everything left on the ground has been completely licked clean. Wolf claw marks are everywhere. Through the cold wind, we can still hear wolves howling nearby. A go listens carefully and suddenly says the wolf pack seems to be hunting us. We suddenly spot in the distance a flash of bright green in the darkness. I realize I was careless. I underestimated the wolves' intelligence. We all chamber rounds into our rifles. Now, what we need to do is break the wolves' blockade. We need some open ground to force the wolf king to show up. Just as we were moving, a gray wolf jumped out from a snow pile up ahead, trying to scare us back into the trap. I raise my gun and shoot. The gray wolf gets its head blown off with 1 shot. It didn't even have a moment to react. Tianyu still wanted to go drag away the gray wolf. Ergu kicked him in the butt out of anger. Hurry up and run. It's already this late. Only Tianyu would still be thinking about wolf meat right now. All around us, gray wolves were quickly closing in. The wolf pack, led by the alpha's howls, had already entered hunt mode. I led them as we charged up the hill ahead. Whenever Tiju and Ergu started slowing down, I would turn and fire a shot. We only ran a few hundred meters, but 2 gray wolves were shot dead on the spot. The alpha wolf kept howling. As we reached an open area, the alpha wolf finally appeared. It was at least 200 meters away from us. In the moonlight, its silver fur shone brilliantly. As soon as Ergu saw it, he shouted a warning. I noticed it immediately too. I knew if I didn't kill this alpha, the wolf pack wouldn't scatter. I handed the fully loaded Type 38 rifle to Tinyu. Ergu quickly turned and raised his gun, but the wolf was way too fast, making it impossible for him to aim. Tianyu widened his eyes and just fired the gun wildly. He couldn't aim at all, just shooting by feel. Bang, bang! Gunshots rang out. Everything descended into chaos. But it gave me the window I needed. I raised my Chuntian rifle and aimed at the howling alpha. I steadied my breath, put my finger on the trigger. Bang! The gun went off. The howling alpha staggered and fell to the snow. Ergu was stunned. One shot took out the alpha wolf from 200 meters away. Some wolves realized something was wrong, while others still charged crazily ahead. I chambered another round and fired again. One more gray wolf rushing at Tianyu was dropped. Tianyu followed up, jabbing his red-tasseled spear into the downed wolf, with the alpha's signal gone. The wolves that had gotten close began howling and running off. I fired again and hit a snow-white gray wolf. Ergu's jaw almost hit the floor. I patted him and said, "I'll teach you when we get back. This time we're gonna make a fortune." I just shot 6 wolves myself, all headshots, which means that's 6 wolf pelts right there. Jiang Ergu stared at the gray wolves. How are we ever going to sell so many? I just smiled. We're mountain rangers now, so it's normal to get a share of the meat. We already split up the wild boar, so we'll just take the wolf meat to the morning market to sell. If we can't sell it, we'll have Qin Xiaodong move it on the black market. Besides, we can make wolf skin coats now. There's enough for each of us to have one. Even Dodo can get one. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken out the little white wolf with my last shot. We joked and chatted, and cleaned all 6 wolves. Tonight's haul is enough to scare anyone. But it was super dangerous too. The whole wolf pack silently surrounded me. Even I, a special ops soldier from the future, didn't pick up on it. No wonder the elders say wolves of the mountains are like demons. Tianyu's really strong, so he carried the 2 biggest ones on his back. Ergu and I each carried 1 big and 1 small. About that wild boar, Ergu. On the way back, you carry a piece home. Split some up with your Wang family. On the way back, I reminded Ergu about it. He hadn't thought of that, but then realized each piece is over 100 pounds. Half a piece is enough. I'll send mine to Uncle Kui. Let him distribute it himself. He's infamous in the brigade as a slacker. Not welcome at the Wang family either. Only Wang Kui takes care of him now and then. Let Wang Kui share with whoever he wants. I nodded. Then I looked at Tianyu and said, as for the other half, take it to your mom tonight. After all, wild boar meat doesn't sell as well as wolf meat. Give her a little extra. Tianyu just grinned. How are we going to eat all this meat anyway? When we got back, Wang Lin was so shocked to see us. He kept checking me over and over, afraid I was hurt. Ergu, who never had anyone dote on him growing up, was super envious. The 3 of us got busy again. Skin the wild boar. Skin the gray wolves. Scrape off the fat. We were still working when I told Tianyu to carry half a boar and head for the clothing brigade for his mom and a little sister. Ergu and I took care of the 2 brothers. After everything was handled, we buried all the meat in the yard snow. Ergu shouldered his gun and headed home. By then, Wang Lin had already gotten hot water ready for my bath. The moonlight was beautiful. We'd made quite the ruckus tonight. Even Dodo woke up from all the noise. She cried for a while. I hugged Wang Lin and talked to him about building a big house someday, a Sihyun-style courtyard, or maybe get an apartment in town. I went on. My body suddenly filled with energy again. As the bell rang, another busy day began. Tianyu and Ergu were already waiting by the door, both of them stomping their feet from the cold. I told Ergu to get Wallen. Tianyu and I loaded the cart. Wang Ling got up and got ready too. Even though we're not that far from the county, after Wang Lin fell out with her family over me, she's never gone home again. But Wang Lin's mom comes by every few months, secretly bringing her brother, with money and food. Without her family's help, we would have starved long ago. But it's been 4 months now. I was wondering about that. Soon little Ye came running over too, shouting for shredded meat noodles. I laid out 2 wolf pelts on the flatbed, piled all the meat at the back, covering it up tightly. Everyone set off for the county. The morning market is getting busier every day. Even early in the morning, people line up for meat. When the kids saw the fried dough stall, they got so excited they couldn't move. I told Wang Lin and the others to go have breakfast first. I went to sell the meat with Tianyu. We had over 500 pounds this time, including wolf and wild boar. Don't crowd. I yelled loudly. Half an hour later, Qin Xiaodong showed up with lazy eye. They eagerly came over to help.
He made a killing off those industrial coupons I gave him.
Already rolled out 350 coupons for me. Now he's ridiculously friendly to me. Qin Xiaodong saw the cart full of wolf meat and got a huge shock. Did you go hunting a wolf pack or something? He was eyeing the wolf pelts too. With curiosity, Qin Xiaodong asked, if you go hunting wolves again, can I come? So many wolves. It's enough to make anybody jealous. How is this any different from picking up money? I glanced at him and told him that 20-some wolves surrounded me last night. If I hadn't shot the alpha, there wouldn't even be a bone left of me now. Qin Xiaodong shrank his neck in fear. Dang, that's brutal. Even lazy eye couldn't help shivering. No wonder you brought back 5 gray wolves at once. Turns out you were surrounded by the whole pack. Taking a moment, Qin Xiaodong pulled a few tickets out of his coat. A sewing machine ticket. A few tickets for 50 yen of coarse grains. 2 fabric coupons. I got them transferred to me. I took them all. I'm planning to buy a sewing machine for my sister-in-law today. Her sewing skills are outstanding. She'd be the top workhorse making clothes for us from now on. No one better than her. The department store opens at 8 a.m. We headed straight for the large items section. We had to be the first to buy a sewing machine. Soon, with envious looks from those around us, we took the sewing machine away. Tutu guarded the flatbed cart. We continued shopping. Cotton fabric, cotton thread, wooden rulers, scissors, all these, of course, needed to be prepared for my sister-in-law. Then we switched. Tutu bought things for his little sister. On the way back, I was going to have Ergu go to the brigade to trade for some bullets, mainly to check in with the family. But Ergu quietly told me a secret. He knew roughly where the Chan family hid their bullets. Apparently, they also had some guns. I was shocked. Then Ergu continued. He once saw with his own eyes the Chan family moving out 2 crates of bullets and 2 brand new guns, still in wooden ammo boxes, military ones. My heart skipped a beat. For the Chan family in this era, in a place like this to live well with enough to eat and drink. No wonder every household is doing fine. Is it because they're selling arms and ammunition? Ergu went on. There was a lot of dust on them, like they came out of a cellar. He tried to search for the stash too, but had no clue at all. I thought about it the whole way. There's something mysterious about our village, and they're extremely xenophobic. All these years, they still never get along with our Zhang family. When we rushed back, the village was already buzzing with activity. The Wang family was dividing up pork. Ergu and I had hunted a wild boar. Last night, we gave more than 50 jin of pork to Wang Kui. By the time the news got out, it was all divided up. Every household in the Wang family got a share. The Shan family couldn't sit still anymore. Who doesn't want to eat meat? The pigs raised by the brigade still haven't been slaughtered. They're all drooling just thinking about it. The first unlucky one was Chen Bao, still lying in bed. A group of Chun family elders, women and children squeezed into the house. Biaozi, where's the wild boar meat you divided up? The Wang family has already finished dividing theirs. Why are you still sleeping? This kid. Get up now and show us the wild boar you caught. A crowd of uncles and aunts kept urging him. Chen Bao was confused. What wild boar? Come on, stop playing dumb. Even his parents explained. Biaozi was at home sleeping last night. Who'd believe that? You can't eat that much meat alone. Don't think about keeping it all to yourselves. Bring it out so we can all share. You're the forest guard now. You can go hunting anytime.
His cousin Chun Mingyang.
Searched around. Couldn't find the wild boar. He sounded pretty upset. Chen Bao was totally lost. What boar? What do you mean keep it for yourself?
His parents.
Then finally told him Ergu and I killed a wild boar, and the Wang family immediately divided up the meat on the spot. And now I was outside our house, setting up a table to divide the meat. The whole Zhang family was getting a share. I tied up cuts of meat with straw ropes. Each share weighed about 5 or 6 jin. The Zhang family is small, so dividing was simple. Tito's dad looked on with envy. His stepmom, Sun Li, was all smiles. She went to line up first, already planning what to cook for lunch in her mind. I glanced at her. This is our Zhang family's share of pork. Nothing to do with you. Sun Li hadn't realized yet. Chen Yu suddenly got mad when he heard about the division. Why am I left out? Isn't Chen Bo from our Chen family? Why do you get to decide who gets the meat? Ergu raised the Type 54 rifle and pointed it at Chun Yud. Chun Yud got so scared he shivered. He turned and ran, but tripped and fell face first after only a couple of steps. I quickly had Ergu put the gun away. Then Sun Li ran to the village officials to complain about me. Why is it that the wild boar hunted by the forest guard is only shared with the Zhang and Wang families? Why doesn't our Chen family get any? And there's also wolf meat. They looked at the table and saw at least 250 pounds of meat. Everyone's eyes turned red with envy. Some even tried to move forward and grab some, but a goat drove them back at gunpoint. Seeing this scene, I shouted, "I hunted this. It has nothing to do with the Chun family." Your Chun family mountain guard, Chun Bao, was so scared last night he wouldn't even stay on the mountain. He hid at home and slept. If he wants to eat meat, tell him to hunt in the mountains. That move of mine was ruthless. I insisted on forcing Chun Bao into the mountains. The Chan family was shocked. Chun Bao really didn't go into the mountains. At this point, people from the Zhang family started coming to collect meat. I adjusted the portions based on family size. The crowd from the Chun family got bigger and bigger. The brigade warehouse keeper, Chan Yinchen, also showed up. He shouted overbearingly, "Who said you could divide the meat? The brigade should handle the distribution. Don't you understand the rules?" My third grandpa arrived, wearing his cotton coat. He reached out and snatched the 54 rifle from a go. Chan Yinchen instantly went silent. He quickly hid in the crowd. He remembered clearly how Zhang Liuzhen shot several people from the Chan family back then. He was only 17 years old at that time. He would shoot if there was any disagreement.
He really didn't dare act tough in front of Zhang Liaozhen.
Wang Lin saw this and hurried to get a chair. My third grandpa sat down with authority. "Hua Chen, go ahead and divide the meat. I want to see who dares to cause trouble in front of me. I'm dividing meat for the Zhang family now." The Chan family was still watching eagerly from the side. Now that my third grandpa was backing me up, the Chan family troublemakers left disappointed. Chan Yinchen watched as more and more meat was distributed. Suddenly, he thought of the Wang family. He turned and left immediately. If the Wang family found out about the meat distribution, they surely wouldn't like it. Wang Kui and his people had already heard that Zhang Huacheng was dividing meat. Surrounded by a group, they also came to see the commotion. On the way, they ran into Chan Yinshan. Chan Yinshan started talking slyly right away. "Your Wang family only gets a couple of ounces each, while Zhang family households each get over 10 pounds. Are you just going to let them do that?" He knew the Wang family weren't pushovers either, but Wang Kui just sneered. "A Go already told us. All that meat was hunted by Hua Cheng. He just helped carry it back. So it's up to Hua Cheng to decide how it's split." Hearing that, Chan Yinshen said no more. After all, at least the Wang family would get a meal out of it now, while the Chan family couldn't even get a taste of meat. If we waited any longer, all the meat would be gone. Chan Yinshen cursed it as he ran back. He didn't believe the Wang family was only there to watch. He hoped the two families would start fighting. I divided the meat very efficiently. If you were from the Zhang family, you got a share. If your household was small, you got less. If you had more people, you got more. Some families even got over 10 pounds at once. This made the Chun family envious. Eventually, one of them couldn't resist anymore and planned to buy some with money. Wang Kui could tell the Zhang family was trying to be fair, so he took out some money to buy extra meat as well. Chan Yinshan just watched the meat being divided, his eyes nearly popping out. He looked at Chun Yud and told him to report me for speculation. He couldn't do it himself, but Chun Yud definitely could. "Go report it to the commune. The brigade will get some of the confiscated meat. We'll give you the best cut when we butcher the New Year pig. You'll get plenty of pork offal too. Just get this done for me. All you have to do is speak up, and you'll benefit." Chan Yud was happy to do it. He immediately headed off toward the commune with determination. I was keeping a close eye on Chun Yud the whole time. I guessed he would definitely report me. And he wouldn't say we were mounting guards when he did, once he was far enough away. I tossed the meat into the bamboo basket. No more meat for sale. Those few Chun family members who wanted to buy were frantic. I pointed to the distant figure of Chun Yud and said, "Look." Chun Yud went to report me at the commune. "Sorry, everyone. We won't be able to sell meat in the future. Only the Zhang family will get to eat it now. If you can't get meat later, Go talk to Chun Yud. They turned to look, and saw Chun Yud had almost disappeared into the distance. When the Chun family saw that, they were furious. That guy has no brains. It was the mountain guard who reported us. Damn it, we just wanted to eat some meat. But that heartless jerk had to ruin it. The Shan family members who wanted to buy started cursing. Seeing the time was right, I called out, if you want to eat meat, Chun family, just have Chun Bao go hunt. We all managed to hunt meat. Why can't he? At this point, the Shan Bao house was almost turned upside down. A bunch of Shan family members were clamoring to form a hunting team. Even Jiang Huacheng and Go could do it. So why couldn't the Chun family hunt wild boar and wolves? We have plenty of people. We have guns. We have bullets. But Chun Bao just wasn't willing. That's practically a death sentence for him. Wild boars in the mountain weigh several hundred pounds. You can't even kill one with regular bullets. As for the wolves, they come in packs. Who would dare go after them? People were getting crazy over their craving for meat. So why could Jiang Huacheng and Go pull it off? You're just a coward, damn it. A young man cursed at Chun Bao. When Chun Bao heard that, he flew into a rage. He threw a punch and charged in. The young man didn't back down either. Suddenly, Chun Biao's house turned into chaos. Pots and pans went flying. Meanwhile, the Zhang family had almost finished dividing the meat. All that was left was a wolf leg and a wild boar rib. Everyone waited expectantly for Chun Yud's return. A horse-drawn cart appeared in everyone's view. On it were officials from the commune. At the front, Chun Yud was strutting proudly. The commune sent 4 people, 2 officials and 2 guards carrying rifles. One official stepped forward and saluted. We received a report from the public that someone was poaching in the mountains, engaging in speculation and selling meat at high prices. Wang Kui also walked over and saluted. Poaching.
He didn't say he was reporting the mountain guards.
The official was Director Li. When Director Li heard that, he frowned at Chun Yud. Sorry, leader. I haven't gone out in the past few days, so I don't know anything about this. Chun Yud kept bowing. Wang Kui sneered, looked at Chun Yud, his eyes filled with contempt. I hurried over and saluted too. Hello, leader. I'm the mountain god Jiang Huacheng. Last night, Go and I were on patrol and saw a pack of wolves chasing a wild boar. When we got to the foot of the mountain, we opened fire. We shot a wild boar and a wolf. We're dividing the meat here. No meat is being sold. When they heard it was just being divided, the female official next to Director Li raised her eyebrows and glared at Chun Yud. Didn't you report that he was poaching, selling meat at high prices, and disrupting the market? If it was sold right here. Wolf meat is 1 yuan per jin. Pork costs 0.6 yuan per pound. Isn't that expensive? Chun Yud hurriedly explained, saying the people from the Zhang family wouldn't agree. When was it sold? We all didn't spend any money. Director Li saw things were already one-sided. He immediately whispered with the female cadre about how to handle the situation. Then turned to me, the mountain guard Jiang Huacheng, after organizational investigation. Your actions don't count as profiteering. No punishment will be made. But the remaining wolf meat and pork, the commune wants to buy them at the purchase price. Does that work for you? The new year is coming. Who doesn't want a little more meat? I cheerfully agreed, bundled up all the leftover wolf meat and wild boar meat, loaded them onto the cadre's vehicle. Chun Yud saw this and got anxious about the commune's decision. He came running to buy meat. What's this all about? As he was about to leave, Director Li looked at Chun Yud. His gaze was icy cold. Because of your malicious reporting, you disrupted collective unity. You're fined 10 yuan. Pay at the commune before noon tomorrow. If you're late, you'll be seriously dealt with. Director Li was strict and meticulous. Chun Yud still wanted to argue, but the commune wagon was already far away. At this moment, Chen Gongling was venting his anger at the brigade office.
He was about to explode from his teammates' stupidity.
Which bastard went and reported him? Are you all pigs? Chen Gongling stepped up and grabbed Chun Yinshen by the collar. He growled fiercely under his breath. We haven't paid public grain for 3 years. Chun Yud doesn't know that. You don't know either? They used to be tough because things were chaotic. After the country stabilized, in order to suppress them, the commune sent the Wang family here. Back then, the Wang family were the firebrands of the mountains. But at the time, these guys quickly subdued them by their own methods. So the commune's divide and conquer tactics didn't work anymore. Soon after, Zhang Jiaoteng was merged into their group. A bunch of soldiers nearly turned the whole village into a battlefield. The good days for the Chan family were completely crushed by the commune's move. Nowadays, times have changed. Wanting things to be like before is impossible. Chan Yinshan was still unconvinced. If nothing works, let's sell some guns and ammo to cover the hole. Chan Gongling slammed the table in anger. Meanwhile, Ergu also set his sights on Zhen Yud. Always reporting people. Maybe we should break his leg. I quickly discouraged him from that idea. The Chan family couldn't get any meat or buy any. Sooner or later, their resentment would target Chen Yud. We packed up the stall. I calmly went back inside to fetch the sewing machine. Big sis-in-law paused her steps home. Her cheeks were bright red with excitement, sneaking a peek at the gift from my place. Little Ye came running, grabbed big sis-in-law and rushed home. They were waiting at home for the sewing machine. Chan Xing's heart was pounding like a rabbit in her chest. First thing at home, she slapped her thigh several times, like she was dreaming. Then Ergu and I arrived pulling the flatbed cart. As expected, the sewing machine was moved in too, and countless wolf pelts and wild boar skins afterward. Chan Xing patted her chest hard. She couldn't even say thank you 3 times in one breath. After everything was settled at the family home, I got ready with Ergu to explore the Chun family ancestral hall at night. It was still close to sunset. We set the crab traps, then headed to the Chun family ancestral hall. It was an old house at the edge of the village. Snow was pouring down, becoming our best cover. I led Ergu quietly inside. The ancestral hall walls were reinforced, but that couldn't stop Ergu and me. We climbed over the wall. The ancestral hall was pitch dark, and the door
Had an exaggeratedly big lock.
I easily picked it with a thin iron wire. Ergu looked on in shock. Inside, we first lit a candle. Finally saw the interior setup. The front hall was lined with spirit tablets, all covered with a lot of dust. Clearly hadn't been touched in ages. I thought about the location of the tunnel. My gaze slowly fell on a painting of Fu, Lu, and Shou behind the spirit tablets, the Immortal's hanging scroll. Ergu searched around but didn't find anything. Then noticed where my gaze was focused, and went to take it down. There was an old black cloth covering the wall. Lifting the cloth revealed a pitch-black wooden door. Both of our eyes sparkled with excitement. I pulled open the door. A cold, rotten, earthy smell rushed out, and at the same time, a stone staircase leading downward was revealed. Ergu drew his bayonet and was about to go in, but I stopped him right away. I gently untied a very thin rope that was setting a trap. Ergu froze for a second. That wasn't necessary. If this rope moved even a little, the iron bell inside the house would ring. Old Uncle Chan lives in the house right behind the ancestral hall. If there's any noise, he's probably going to hear it. Ergu looked up at the iron bell hanging from the beam. How did he not notice it? The stairs aren't exactly narrow, but only one person can pass at a time. The candlelight flickered. When we got to the basement, my heart was pounding hard. Ergu's eyes went wide too. This isn't just a cellar down here. It's a small military warehouse. And the whole warehouse was made of stacked stone, spotless and neat. Rows of wooden crates, big and small. Every one of these crates is military issued. Army green crates. There are some serial numbers on top. There's even Japanese writing. Ergu's eyes widened, and he couldn't help swallowing hard. All military grade gear, all military. And it's Japanese military equipment. I went up and pried open one of the crates. Inside were rows of jet black Type 38 rifles. I opened another one. It was all Arisaka rifles too. Oh my god, the Chan family. Did they discover a small Japanese military base and clear it out? Or did they loot the Japanese army's warehouse? A box full of ammo. All these smaller boxes were filled with bullets. The shiny brass bullets almost made Ergu dizzy. Now I finally understood why there was never a bullet shortage in the village. Let's open them all and take a look. See if there's anything else inside. I checked each crate one by one. There are probably a few dozen crates here. Some crates were obviously taken away, leaving an empty spot. Wajang, come check this out. What is this? A pistol? Ergu whispered in shock. I quickly walked over to take a look and got excited. That's a Mauser C96. Ergu, this is really valuable. It's worth a lot. With this, even a pack of wolves wouldn't scare us. A yellow C96 Mauser, also known as a box cannon. There are about a dozen more in the crate. More box cannons? Check for them. Magazines and bullets. Looks like most of this crate has already been taken. Only a dozen or so left. We quickly found the 10-round magazines, and even found 2 whole boxes of bullets. I did an inspection. Everything is still usable. Just need to take them back for some maintenance. Kept searching, and soon I confirmed that besides 5 crates of Type 38 rifles, 2 crates of Arasaka rifles, there's only about half a crate left of Mauser C96 South. The rest are all bullets and 2 crates of bayonets. No grenades. No light or heavy machine guns either. But I was still hyped. We carried off the C96 Mausers. The crate was stuffed with magazines, and I grabbed another case of bullets. I carried 4 brand new Arasakas on my back. And so did Igu, plus 2 boxes of bullets each. Wacheng, if the Chun family sells all this, they'll be filthy rich. After we moved all of it out, Ergu got really nervous. They probably sold it off bit by bit all these years. No wonder the Chun family lives in luxury. Let's move it all outside first. Bring as many bullets as possible. It's not just you, Ergu. My heartbeat was racing too. Okay, Ergu turned and ran downstairs. Everything, boxes of bullets and guns, was moved out onto the snow. Seeing 20-odd boxes of guns and ammo in the snow, I quickly stopped Ergu and told him to take 1 batch first. Only the stuff you take is actually yours. Ergu looked back longingly, then started carrying things outside. I told Ergu to go home and get a flat cart. Meanwhile, I returned the ancestral hall to how it was. Pretty soon, Ergu came back with Tianyu. The 3 of us pushed and pulled together, and got all this ammunition into the mountains. All things considered, it's safer in the mountains. We couldn't stop laughing all the way there. We're rich. I'm thinking of selling all these guns and ammo for cash. The mountain path was steep, but we finally found a suitable cave. We hid everything inside. As we turned to leave for home, we suddenly noticed how creepily quiet it was around us. Not a single sign of small animals. So I grabbed 6 C96 Mausers, made sure to load enough bullets, and we geared up together.